I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about if you take someone for granted.
And you might not realize you're doing it.
You know, I think one of the biggest mistakes we make in relationships is taking someone for granted. And that goes for friends and family as well. Mm-hmm. If you don't really value people and what they bring to your life and you neglect them or you mistreat them, they're not going to want to stay close to you because it's not going to feel good.
Right. And you might be surprised when it happens.
Yeah. In fact, one of the things that I have seen so many times over the years is people take their ex for granted. They assume, guys are really bad about this, that when you think that a woman has a very high interest level, and they often do, you can do no wrong because that's what their love feels like. Mm-hmm. It feels like you can... Yes, like you can do no wrong and they are always going to stay this way. But many of you learn the hard way. It doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm. And people have more opportunities in life than you think. And people have limits. This is something I say a lot, that everybody has a limit.
Absolutely. You never want to take someone for granted. You never want to assume they're always going to have a high interest level. If you do, it's going to come back and bite you. Even the woman that... And I'm saying to the guys here, because I see this guy with guys especially, you think her interest level is so high, she wants to marry you, she wants to have kids with you, she wants to have a family with you, and you neglect that person. If a full woman, wants to have kids and get married for so long, you're going to find one day she has left you, found someone else, and it is going to be one of the most painful experiences you will ever experience.
Yeah, and that is a trend that I see too. Mm-hmm. You're taking someone's time. Time is the most precious thing that you can give to someone. So you have to treat it very carefully and treat it like it's something special.
Yep. If a woman has a high interest level in you, you want to reciprocate and show her that you appreciate that. But many guys just get extremely neglectful to the point where that person can't take it anymore and they eventually leave. So we've got a tough email coaching today where they made some pretty tough mistakes in this situation and they really didn't think they were going to. And that's the thing, is that we get blinded by that high interest where that person is just always wanting to be around us, always wanting to see us, doing everything to make us happy.
Right, and we become overconfident. We think that we can handle certain situations, and then when we're faced with them, we really can't. So we have to be realistic and honest with ourselves.
Absolutely. So, got an email coaching that we're going to share. This is from a guy in his mid-40s dating a woman in her early 30s. And he said that she has a demanding career, right? Let's just say... she's still got to do a lot of training. I don't want to get into the specifics, but it's going to play out later on in the story, as you'll see. So they met in the fall of last year and they broke up about a month or so ago. They were not living together and they didn't have any kids or anything like that. But he says, and you can see this is where he made his mistake. From the start, my ex was obsessed with me. Guys, if you have a woman that is obsessed with you and it's somebody that you love, appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Make her feel valued and cared about. That's what you want. You want a woman with a high interest level like that because she will do anything to make you happy. But when you see this and you just assume it's going to stay that way, I'm telling you, it is going to lead some very painful results, because then a lot of guys are like, she was such a great girl. Yeah. She was such a great woman. I can't believe I messed this up.
And I would say that across the board, for those with more avoidant attachment styles, Sometimes that's something that you can sense. If you might have a more avoidant attachment style, you can sense that your partner is anxious. You can sense that they want to spend time with you. You can sense that they need all this reassurance from you.
Yep.
And so it can put you in this place where you feel like you have more power. You feel like you have this person on the back burner whenever you're ready and whenever you want.
Yep.
But people are people, and people can make choices to leave certain situations that aren't serving them.
It's going to happen so fast, you are going to be in the shock of your life. So don't take people for granted. I am warning you guys. Watch, he's going to talk about what happened to him here.
And it's interesting because if you're more avoidant, you might sense that your partner is obsessed with you, and you might like your partner, but that obsessive quality can kind of turn you off.
Yes.
And it's interesting because then when you don't have them around, then you can start to become obsessed about them.
Yep.
So you really have to think about it. Yes, your partner might be a bit clingy. Yes, they might be needy, but really think about, do you care about this person? Do you like this person? Do you want this person in your life? Then are you willing to meet some of their needs and work with it?
Absolutely. So let's go on here. There's going to be some tough stuff that this guy's going through. So much that she was willing to overlook my open refusal to enter a committed relationship. So she's got an incredibly high interest level, so much so that she lets him date other people because she just wants him in her life.
And I think the subtext there is that she doesn't want that, but she is letting go of it for him.
Exactly, just to have him. What then ensued was a relationship in which we would see each other almost every day, but continue to date and sleep with other people. Now, I really don't think she was hooking up with other people. Maybe she was, but if her interest level was that high, then why would she want to? She's like, I want to be with this person. I'm only allowing him to be with other people because I want to be with them for so much.
Well, it depends. It is something that she agreed with. So, it just depends on someone's attitude and approach to the relationship.
Her sleeping with other men never really bothered me. I knew I had control of the relationship given her very high interest in me. Let the hate flow through you. Give in to your anger.
Oh boy. So I think the word that bothers me most in that sentence is control. And this is a dynamic that we see a lot with the anxious avoidant trap, is the person who is more avoidant knows that they can almost control the other person's emotions because they are more distant, because they kind of decide how much time is spent together and not. So they can get a big head in the relationship after some time and have this sense of, I know that if I wanted to be with this person, I could at any moment and they're not going to leave me. And it seems like he's outright said that. And I'm also curious if he would be bothered with her sleeping with other men if he didn't have that kind of impression of her. If, she held her own and, was able to say, well, I'm not sure about this relationship either. Would he have a completely different approach? Maybe, maybe not.
Let's go on. Let's watch to see Victoria's anger level skyrocket through the video.
And in that too, he doesn't mention if him seeing other people had bothered her at all. So I'm curious about if those were conversations that they would have, if they would be open about it. And of course, on the channel, we try to promote healthy options. So when there's multiple people in the mix and there's multiple partners, we'll say, you have to be very careful about your health.
Yeah, absolutely. Things continued like this, and I began to take her for granted. Now, he says began. I think he was taking her for granted from day one. He literally said it because he said, from the start, my ex was obsessed with me. So from the start, you were taking this woman for granted.
And let me be clear.
I think it would be going hand in hand.
Right. And to be clear, in the beginning of a relationship, you might be seeing multiple people. Maybe you're kind of playing the field, seeing what's out there, checking out your options, and that's okay. But the wording here of his refusal to be in a committed relationship makes me think that this went on longer than maybe she had wanted or longer than maybe typical.
Okay. All the while, however, I was falling deeply in love with her. Yet I never gave her what she ultimately was seeking. safety, security, and commitment. She never asked me for this openly, as she felt it may cause me to leave. And he could have. Time passed in this manner till the summer arrived. I attended her graduation and met her parents. Her mother really liked me and gave me lots of approval. Then the time came when she had to move away. Remember, I said schooling was involved. I helped her pack and she left. This was an intensely difficult time for her. She's from another country and has no support system here and would be going there alone. I wasn't very affected by it. Doesn't even sound like he's affected by her leaving.
Yeah, and it sounds like he's having a very difficult time with empathizing with her. You know, she's in a completely different position. And when you're in a different country and you're dating, sometimes you can find someone who's from that country and depend on them more than you might others. And I say that from experience.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you're looking at me wanting me to say that.
I went to visit her for a weekend shortly after she arrived there, and we connected deeply during my visit. We had an amazing time. I mentioned the fragile nature of our relationship briefly, but never made a big deal of it, as I felt I still had control.
You got to be careful with this. You have to treat people like people, not like pets that you can train, okay?
Or objects.
Or objects, yeah.
I knew you were going to love the wording.
Oh, God. Control.
You must learn control. And now you sound like Yoda. That's what he says. Control. You must learn control. That was a terrible Yoda, by the way. I could do a way better Yoda, but I won't do one right now.
And to me, it's interesting that he's using the word control because it shows me that he's viewing this relationship in terms of power.
Yeah.
You know, if I was in his shoes, I would say what you said earlier. Man, this person really cares about me. Man, this person really likes me and, you know, wants to get to know more about me.
Yeah.
And wants to spend time with me.
You want to appreciate that person.
Right. So I think the way you view the relationship, perception of it, I have control, I have power here. I can, you know I could make this person cry if I wanted. It's not a healthy or helpful way of looking at relationships in general.
No, I agree. I even went so far to tell her she'd be okay and she should start dating new people. I can tell you that this is not going to go well.
And just to unpack this a little bit, you know, if we had to guess here, I would say that he probably leans more toward an avoidant attachment style.
You think?
It's just a wild guess. You know, but you can see here how some of what's happening is really self-sabotage and distancing tactics. You know, you can see that, yes, he's saying, oh, you should go date other people. But some sentences ago, he was saying he was starting to fall in love with her.
Yeah.
You know, that he's developing feelings. So you can almost see more clearly than in other situations that avoidance in action.
Yeah. It's going to get pretty rough here. And I helped her create a new dating profile. Brutal. Looking back, you know, this is going to be extremely painful for him because he didn't think it was going to be a big deal. He didn't think it was going to be that bad. He was okay with it. He didn't want to be exclusive. And now he's literally kind of pushing her onto other people. Here, let me help you make a profile together.
Yeah.
We continued texting and FaceTiming as usual. About a month after, she texted me that she met someone new and would no longer see me and wanted to decrease the amount of time we were speaking, but would like to remain friends. This surprised me, but I told her I understood. Can you imagine you help somebody create a dating profile and then you're surprised that they find somebody that they're interested in?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what happens. If you push someone to date other people and you encourage it and you don't want them to be, you don't want to be exclusive with them for a year, of course, at some point, their interest level is going to go higher in somebody else. I'm sorry, but that's just what's going to happen.
Yeah, and you have to think about this from her perspective. She might have shown you so much love. She might have shown you so much affection. But in the back of your mind, if you're saying, I'm refusing to be committed to you, and if you're saying, oh, it doesn't bother me you sleep with other people, and if you're saying, I'm sleeping with other people or spending time, whatever, dating other people, then of course she's going to be managing her expectations here. So I think there's some shock in the amount of time, how quickly she was able to find someone else. But you gave her all of those signals that, number one, it would be okay to do so. Number two, you wanted her to do so. And so, this situation seems like what would have been the obvious conclusion.
Yep. 3 weeks later, the reality of the situation set in. My desperation evolved from pestering to outright crying and begging, even to her mother, who said she was on my side. Man, if this was my daughter, I wouldn't be on this guy's side. I'm sorry. But you don't want to commit to my daughter for a year? You want to tell her to date other people? You think I'm going to defend you? I'm sorry, man. I'm going to encourage her not to date you. I mean, that's just the truth. As a dad, no way would I encourage my daughter to date someone.
And I wonder if the mother knew the whole
taking
story.
my daughter for granted like this. Would you?
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Of course not.
This continued for 2 weeks. I finally wrote her a text pronouncing my undying love. I already know what's going to happen here. I mean, I've seen this a million times. For her, and announcing no contact. He announced it like a little trumpet.
No.
Hear ye, hear ye. This is to inform thy that no contact shall be enacted from this day forth for the next 3 days.
There's a little frog with the scroll.
Why not?
I see.
Oh man. I wish I hadn't done this, as I know it makes no contact much less effective. I said, I now ask that if you would like to try the relationship again, only then contact me. Otherwise, please refrain from doing so. I need space to begin healing. Thank you. I also wished her well with her new boyfriend.
Sorry, I was just thinking about it all in the accent, in the old British accent.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Refrain from contacting me.
I shall refrain from any further contact from this day forward. Aside from the 6 times I shall reach out in the next 2 days. Begging and pleading.
Sorry, I just had to compose myself because I was listening to that all in the British accent that Craig was doing. So, all jokes aside, really funny jokes aside, I could see that he's in a situation that he did not plan for. In his mind, he did not prepare for this moment despite literally putting himself in this situation.
Yep.
And you can just see how really what I see here is his avoidance has caused this to happen.
Yeah.
His avoidance has caused him to be so detached from himself, so detached from the situation that what followed, the consequences, were a surprise.
Yeah.
And
I see a lot of people make this mistake, by the way. Obviously, there were certain things about this that were a little bit more extreme, openly creating the dating profile for her and stuff like that. But I do see a lot of people that take someone for granted and make a lot of these mistakes.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's because this guy is in a lot of pain, and it's hard because he knows that he did this to himself in a lot of ways. He knows it. I mean, he recognized it. He talked about that it was so painful, and so he knows he kind of pushed her to date other people and not thinking that for some reason that she might find someone else that she had a high interest level like she did with him. But she now lives far away. She has no one else.
Yeah.
She's in a country where she has nobody else. I mean, it's not a surprise.
Yeah. And I'll say too, we always talk about being your partner's priority, being their best option. And so in this case, I can see her going out and dating other men who might be ready to commit, who might be willing to say, you know what? I am willing to be your person. I do want to build something with you. And so that's just part of what's out there. So maybe marriage isn't for you. Maybe a stronger commitment isn't for you. And if that's the case, then you should pursue other people who want that outright as well. But if that is something that you do eventually want, you have to think, are there going to be other people who are going to provide that to your partner much sooner, be more open or ready? And you also have to consider what would happen if my partner didn't want to be with me anymore because of my lack of commitment.
But so many people get caught up in taking someone for granted when their interest level is this high for this long. I think it's kind of human nature for many people. There's a little bit more here.
And I will say, he also needs to be very honest with himself about if he would have been able to do that commitment. I know he's now going back now, talking to the mother, talking to her, confessing his love, but he needs to be honest. Is this separation anxiety, which even those with avoidant attachment styles experience, as you can clearly see, or is this really him rethinking this relationship, or is it both?
Yeah, he's got a lot of questions he needs to ask himself. Should I reach out to let her know that I'm better and it's okay to talk again or to be friends? Well, I would not do that certainly right now, because I think she's more interested in this other guy, and she's going to be a lot more likely to be cold and angry and lash out at you, because she's probably, now that she's more interested in someone else, all those feelings of resentment and anger that have built up in her for not giving her what she needed, she's going to be like, well, you had every opportunity to be with me and you didn't want to be with me, and you helped me create a dating profile.
Yeah.
And now you're upset and you want to be with me. So the last thing I would tell you to do is to reach out when she's interested in somebody new here.
And you know what? The way that he had found out about this was her being able to set a boundary and say, hey, I'm dating someone new. So you can see that she values loyalty from that. Right there is just an example of her loyalty. And this is a hard nugget to swallow, but thinking about the way that she had treated you, how you felt almost, invincible, like nothing could tear you down, like nothing could destroy you. She would not leave the relationship. She would be there for you. She probably is making someone else feel like that right now. She probably has those kind of emotions for someone else because they had made themselves emotionally available to her. Now,
we don't know how long they've been dating or how well it's going. The last thing he said is, if I did, I would be very chill and not bring up the past. No, we're not recommending you reach out to her. I think that if it doesn't work out with this other guy, it's entirely possible that she does reach out to him again. But he's got to learn to be a more emotionally attuned partner and look at things differently, not so much from a power perspective, because it doesn't make people feel good when you have this kind of attitude of, I knew I could do this and I knew I could do whatever I want, basically. And I mean, could you imagine think about the pain that you're feeling because she's being intimate with somebody else. Right? Like, that's what she was feeling, probably. That's probably how she felt wanting to be with him so bad.
Yeah.
And now he's seeing that other side, like what he was doing to her. So you have to be very careful with repairing this if she reaches out. If you come on too strong overboard, I think it's going to make her angry. I think she's going to be like, oh, now you want to be with me now? So it's got to be more moderate and like taking it slow and a healthier speed and perspective.
Right. And I would say the biggest thing here is to be able to work on your attachment style, because one thing that to me is really concerning throughout this entire email is just the empathy for her. He's mentioned how he was chill and calm with everything in the beginning, how he felt about her sleeping with other men, how he felt really anxious when she had decided to go and have a relationship with someone else and basically cut him off. So this has been very centered around his experience and his emotions and not very considerate to her journey in this. So I give him major props for being able to identify it. In the beginning, he did say, he said that he was neglectful and he didn't really consider her in a lot of ways. So I do give him props for that. You have to be able to work on those skills to really develop that empathy and be able to show her that affection that she's been showing you.
Absolutely. Again, I cannot stress this enough. Do not take people for granted. Friends, family, romantic partners. Do your best to always value them and appreciate them the best that you can. and it will make a major change in your connections with other people.
Mm-hmm.
A lot going on in this situation, obviously. If you'd like to get our help personally, you can do that on our website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.